Welcome to the Just Women Sports Podcast, where we talk to the biggest athletes in the world about the untold stories behind their success. I'm Kelley O'Hara, and my guest today is Alex Morgan. Alex, welcome to the show.
Thanks. This is like the most professional at-home podcast ever.
Listen, we want to make it as professional as possible. That's the goal here.
Do I get to keep this microphone?
I think that's a Haley question, actually. I wasn't going to tell you ahead of time that you probably are going to have to send it back because
I didn't get a return label, so sorry.
You get it after. That's how we get you to do the show. How are you doing? You're in Florida. How is motherhood?
Good. It's great. I'm just at Charlie's disposal and whenever she wants to eat or cry or sleep. It's like, I swear, it's like she's sleeping and I need to wake her up to eat. And then she's awake and I'm like, go to sleep. You know, it's like this forever like terrible cycle of like waking her up when she doesn't want to be awake, putting her in bed when she doesn't want to be asleep, and just eating at all times.
So are you doing that because you learn, like you've been told that you need to get her on a schedule, or are you just like, oh, I need to feed her every, 2 to 4, 3, 5, 6 hours? What is it? I don't know.
Every 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
Yes. From the beginning of one feed to the beginning of the next. So it's like an hour and a half. So it's not like fair for that. They say that, but that's fine. That's the way it goes. And it's been, I've adjusted to it, and it's pretty much gone like pretty smooth. Charlie's like a super easy baby, and I've had a lot of family here to help me. So that's been really nice.
She looks very happy in all the pictures you send me.
Yeah, I only take pictures of her when she looks happy. I delete the ones that she's crying in immediately. No. I just share the ones that she's happy. Many times she's sleeping or crying. And I'm trying to put a cute bow on her and she's like, like taking it off, or it's like blinding her in her face. Bows always look so cute, but they're really not easy to keep on. So
no, I wouldn't have known that if you didn't tell me.
You'll find out soon enough.
Maybe one day.
Camp again.
Yeah. So does she have, how many US soccer jerseys does she have? Does she have like a Charlie jersey, or does she have a Carrasco? What does she have? Anything yet?
She has an Orlando onesie.
Okay.
With Charlie on the back. And then US soccer I think Ryan and Jake are sending a US soccer jersey. It's like in the mail right now. So I'm really excited to get it.
I can't wait to see her in it. That's awesome. So to continue on this, I want to talk first about what has become probably most important thing that's ever happened to you, becoming a mother, and just everything that the last year entailed with that, I guess maybe 9 months. So what were your initial thoughts when you found out you were pregnant?
I was really surprised, but I was so excited because, you know, we were looking forward to starting a family sometime soon. And we were just surprised that it happened as quickly as it did. But we're definitely lucky that, you know, this little girl chose us. And then it was kind of an interesting time because I feel like I was navigating my injury with my knee. I was dealing with like us coming back from the World Cup and like adjusting into our teams and the league. And so I kind of I found out like maybe mid-August, and it was like, what do I do? Because I don't want to, you know, you never want to say anything too soon because of fear for not being able to keep the baby. So I was trying to navigate that. It was like a little weird, but I had my knee injury and I was like, well, it's kind of like a good excuse to like go home now to LA where we were living at the time and like deal with my knee and then be able to take my time and like announce on my own terms. And so we did get to do that, which I'm very thankful for. And she grew like perfectly inside of me rather than, you know, being on her own terms. She stayed to course and gave birth 6 weeks almost ago. It's crazy to think that.
I know, that seems like
it feels like forever ago, to be honest.
It really does. So just to walk it back a little bit, because you're talking about knee injury. So you came out of the World Cup, knee was hurt, right? Like it was bothering you kind of during World Cup a little bit. And then did you get back onto the field for your club after the World Cup? Because you did. I feel like you got in for like 15 minutes. You got hit in the head.
Yeah, I got in. And
did you know you were pregnant then?
Yeah.
You did. Okay.
So I found out and I was like kind of on my way getting back into playing, but like my knee wasn't feeling great, but it was like I could play on it. You know how us athletes are like, well, you can push through. And I was like, I'll just deal with how my knee is feeling afterwards and, you know, make sure I do everything I can to recover for the next game. So I got into the Chicago game. I got hit in the head and I was just like kind of concerned at that moment because I was like, I was already like really hesitant to put myself in that position. I talked to some doctors and they said like that the baby's super protected, like in the pelvis, until about 10 to 12 weeks. So I was really early on and I was like, okay, like I feel okay, like continuing to play until around like 8 or 10 weeks. And then each like day that went on, obviously things just start going in your head and like you start to get stressed and anxious and like obviously start like Googling everything.
Was that you? You were just Googling away?
Oh yeah. I didn't know like the first thing. Like you're like, oh, when do you feed her? Every 6 hours, every 2 hours? It's like, that's how it is. I feel like every single day, even today, I'm like Googling things like, what does a 6-week-old do? And what is it? It's like, how do you entertain a 6-week-old and keep them awake? Like what's awake time supposed to be like? I'm looking into their eyes. Like, I feel like I was Googling everything at that point, but that's when I think I took a week or two to like really try to get my knee figured out and be like, okay, what's the best plan of action? And then I ended up like before the end of season moving back to LA because I was pregnant. I wanted to be with Servando, but also that was the best place to get like long-term PT for my knee, which I did throughout my entire pregnancy. And it was really great.
Yeah, that's definitely a blessing in disguise to be able, you were able to take that time to get something better while you were growing a baby inside of you. I remember we were at a camp because I got injured beginning of August with my ankle and we were texting, we weren't in the same place, we were texting and I was like, oh, I'm not drinking until I'm back on the field. Like I need to get this ankle right. And then we were back in camp and I was like, hey, do you want to go get a drink? And you're like, I thought you weren't drinking. I'm not drinking either until my knee's better. Because you hadn't told anybody about being pregnant. And I was just like, okay. I guess she like, you completely fooled me. And then when I saw you, I think it was like October. And you told me, I was like, oh, now I see what you did there.
Yeah. So you told me that you're like, oh, I just want to focus on like my recovery and like my injury and I'm not like going to drink or anything. And I was like,
that's a good
I was like, I should say that. So I was like, yeah, Kelley's not. And so I need to get my knee right too. So I'm not. So I went to like the VMAs with Ash and Allie and I was like, no, like I made this pact with Kelley, like we're just not going to drink until until we're healed. And they were like, oh, okay. Like didn't think anything of it. And I was like, oof.
Dodge that bullet.
Yeah.
Oh man. So obviously you're able, you get through, what is it? The first trimester and you feel comfortable telling people, you announce it. What was your thoughts towards soccer? Because I know that when we spoke about it, you were like, my first priority is having a healthy baby, a healthy pregnancy. And then, if I can come back, because Olympics was coming up very quickly. But then I feel like something changed because you were still training, you were getting in all these touches, that sort of thing. And which I was pumped about because I was like, oh, she's planning on doing this, trying to go for the Olympics. But like, what was your mindset through basically up until the Olympics got canceled?
Yeah.
Or not canceled, but postponed.
Yeah. So like I was basically training as much as I could, as much as my knee allowed me. I was getting back on the field and able to do stuff in the second trimester. And I was like training, like out on the field, shooting with Dave, like doing group training and stuff, like nothing contact at that point. I was just like doing kind of touches on the ball, shooting, fitness, stuff like that, and trying to like listen to what my doctor had to say in terms of like fitness and heart rate, and make sure you manage that. And then also Googling as much as I can. I feel like there's really not enough like research or like, I don't know, data on pregnant athletes. And so I found some like blogs about like women like running marathons late in pregnancy and this and that. And like, I was just like, okay, I'm going to do what I did before, but I'm going to like not elevate my heart rate too much. And so I just kind of tried to be as careful as possible, but like stick to like who I am as an athlete. And not forget about that. And that was also an important piece of me like feeling still like good throughout my pregnancy, because everyone says like staying active while you're pregnant is like important. It helps with labor and birth and recovery. It's definitely helped with recovery a lot, but I feel like up until the Olympics was postponed or canceled this year, I started to get a little more anxious like as the weeks got like closer to me delivering, because I was like, okay, well, what if she goes past her due date? Like, what if I have to have a C-section? Like, how is that going to affect my recovery? So although it was like such a bummer and devastating to have the Olympics be like canceled for this year and still up in the air for next year, for me, it was like a little bit of a breath of like, I was able to breathe a little bit, because I didn't have to feel like, okay, I'll have to like induce like on her due date if she doesn't come by that, thinking like selfishly. So I stopped thinking that way and was like, okay, she's going to come on her terms, which she did. She came 10 days late. She needed a little extra help to get out too. And it was kind of just like worked out in a way that like I was able to really have like a relief almost, and like stress kind of like leave me at the end of the pregnancy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could hear Charlie crying, but
I
can
cannot.
hear her. Okay.
But do you need to go get her?
No, Servando
sure?
has her.
Okay.
Yeah, I just hear her like,
oh, Servando's not doing a good job.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, I was very, obviously, like you said, having the Olympics postponed was a major bummer. But in your situation, it was like the best possible thing. So I was thankful, because I was worried about you like as a friend coming back and pushing, because again, uneducated here about return to play after pregnancy. What were you thinking it was going to have to be, and now kind of what are you doing in that area?
Well, I was always thinking like, okay, what's the soonest possible I can get like back on the field? So when can I get running? They say 6 weeks you're kind of released, but can I like start running at 3 weeks or 4 weeks? Like how much can I push it? And then I talked to like Kate Markgraf, and she was like, yeah, I felt really good a week after delivering. So I like went on a jog, and then she's like, and then I like effed up my back and this and that. And she's like, so just take your time. And I'm like, well, I can't really take my time. We're on like a time crunch here. Like, so all this stuff was going through my head. I started actually following this program called Birth Fit, and I've been following their postpartum program as well, which has been amazing, but it is at a slower pace than I was going to go when the Olympics was like on schedule for this year. So now like knowing that I have a little more time, and we have, maybe national team camp in this fall or something like that, I can make sure that I'm like taking the proper steps to my recovery, because I really haven't done core work in months. It's been stretching my stomach. So, it takes time like to get back to normal, to take that weight off. I'm also breastfeeding, and it's like, you have to have a little bit of fat for that breast milk, to be able to feed your baby and have like enough to feed your baby. So I'm kind of trying to like work through it every day and make sure like I'm getting enough in my body, and I'm working out like a little bit. I'm doing spin class, like we have a Peloton, so I'm doing some cycling, and I'm doing some like lifting and stuff, but it's just body weight. So I'm taking now like a slower approach, but an approach where I feel like once I get back on the field that like I am 100%, like no possible room for like an injury because of me rushing back on the field.
Yeah, that's great. Slow and steady wins the race here, especially because there's just so many physical changes that happen to your body through pregnancy and then through labor and post, you know? So.
Oh yeah. I mean, for sure. And like, I feel really good right now, but also like I have just started doing like body weight and like lunges and squats and like dead bug and bird dog, stuff like that, that like for me is like, and RDLs or like good mornings, just like body weight stuff that is typically pretty easy for us. But like my hamstrings are like shot at the next day. So it's weird, you know, like I like that kind of tells me, okay, like this slower approach is the right approach.
Yeah, for sure. What is your biggest surprise being a new mother?
My biggest surprise. I don't know. I feel like like Charlie's pretty easy, you know, like she, for the most part, knows between like day and night, and like she feeds pretty well. Like I was really concerned about breastfeeding. I didn't really see like a lactation consultant. And I had heard it's like really difficult. She like latched really well. I'm very lucky. She's healthy. I obviously like I get concerned over the littlest things, you know, what's this rash, or like, why is she making this sound, or like, why isn't she like eating as well as she did like yesterday, or things like that, or like, why is her poop brown and it was yellow earlier, you know? It's like I freak out
So many questions.
So many questions. Yeah, seriously. But I think overall it's been pretty great. I think the one thing that I'm like getting back into working out is I'm happy we have like an at-home gym in our garage, because if not, like I would be like, what do I do with my baby when I like leave, you know? So
Yeah.
right now it's like, I'm lucky Servando he only has training for like an hour and a half right now. And he's home most of the day. So I don't know. I'm like, do I need like a nanny, or do I need like someone? I don't know. I need like a grandma to come and like watch her, because I'm like, what am I supposed to do when I'm actually back on the field?
Totally.
So you need to start that process of figuring that out.
Well, if anyone's good at logistics, it's you. So I have no doubt that you'll have that hammered out.
I know, that's
soon.
why I'm like kind of stressing, because I'm like, sure. I don't have it like settled. But also we live in Florida right now, and I'm kind of like, are we going to go back to California for like the holidays or even sooner, or like what's going on? You know, the NWSL is like, has this tournament right now, and is there going to be anything else the rest of the year? It's kind of like, probably not, but possibly, you know? Yeah. So it's like, I have no idea where we're going to be from now until like the end of the year. And I think that complicates things.
Yeah. But you're no stranger to that. That's just basically our life. I mean, you up and moved from LA to Florida mid-March, and you had Charlie beginning of May.
Yeah. We were going to do this podcast.
Yeah.
March like 14th or something. Yeah. I don't know, something like that.
And you moved like that week, right?
Yeah, I was moving that week. I had like a flight for like March 16th or 17th or something like that. And I was like moving. Yeah. I had like the movers ready and everything. Then like coronavirus hit, and it was like crazy hectic. And I, you know, just like trying to get the movers, and then all of a sudden dealing with like a global pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
I remember texting you that weekend being like, you were like, oh, I feel like in a day or two, they're going to say you can't fly. And I was like, come on now. It's not that bad. And then it was just like 0 to 100.
I had an event with Barbie. I think it was March 7th. They canceled it. And I was like, why are they canceling it? Like, they're being so dramatic. It's really not that big of a deal. Like, why would they do that? And then every day it was like new information, and I started stressing out. I had a flight for Friday. I think we were talking on Wednesday, and it was like Sunday at the time. So then I moved my flight up from Friday to Thursday, then to Wednesday. And then like, I think I ended up getting on a flight on Tuesday, ended up getting on a private flight with a friend.
With a friend.
Yeah. I just asked around. I was like, who's going to Florida from LA? Like, let me get on your plane. And
do you want to name drop who the friend was? You don't have
to. I ended up getting on A-Rod and J-Lo's plane.
Yeah. That's not a bad way to get from LA to Florida.
Yeah, they were coming to Miami, and it was like perfect time, and they were stressed that they were gonna, you know, close the airports and everything, and it just like so happened to work out. Like it was perfect timing, and I'm so grateful to them for allowing me to have a seat on their plane, which is pretty sick. Their plane's sick.
Probably quite nice. A little bit better than a commercial flight.
I was stressing, so
I know.
It worked out.
I know. All right. Well, you're crushing motherhood. So excited for you. It's awesome to see you in this new role. But let's go back to the beginning of your soccer career when you were just a wee little thing. When did you get into soccer? Which you actually weren't a wee little thing when you got into soccer, which is what I find interesting about your story.
Well, I played soccer starting like 5 or 6 years old, but I played like for my city, just rec soccer, AYSO. My dog's barking in the background. Just all sorts of noises coming from this house.
Lots of activity.
Oh yeah. And so I didn't get into like youth club until like 13 or 14 years old.
Which is late considering,
for me,
you know,
at the
for most
time,
people.
like, I mean, I thought it was like a little late, but I didn't think it was like whatever, like that crazy. But my first team, like I was kind of a practice player, and obviously I was super raw, just like fast, athletic. I had a terrible touch. So the coach was kind of like, I mean, this girl has like athleticism, but she's like terrible on the ball. I mean, I was, but I eventually found my place on Cypress Elite, which I played with them from 14 to 18 years old until like I tore my ACL senior year of high school, got back and was able to start like as a freshman in college at Cal. So it was it was like a different path, I think, than most soccer players take. But for me, like that was like my normal, you know, I was playing all different sports, and like I wasn't ready to like commit to soccer like 5 or 6 days a week when I like still really liked volleyball, and I wanted to run track in high school, and I like enjoyed other things. And my soccer coaches were like, every coach wanted their own time. And, you know, high school volleyball, they were like, oh, well, you can't play soccer. Like you can't be missing practice here. My soccer coach was like, well, you can't be missing for volleyball. Like, and I was like, I'll like pick like to miss one or the other every week. And I feel like it was too like limiting for me. And I still feel like today kids are forced to choose one sport at way too young of an age.
Yeah. Do you feel like doing all those different sports actually made you into a better athlete and made you more successful down the road?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like it helped me with like balance my time really well, and like dedicate myself to like like I had only certain hours that like I could study, and certain hours that I could play soccer, and certain hours I could play volleyball, and this and that. So like I just maximized my time that I had with each thing. And my social life too, with my friends, you know, I didn't get to hang out with them as much as they hung out with each other, because I was busy. I have to stay at home for like my soccer game tomorrow morning, or I have to like go home early, or I have to do this or that. So I feel like just balancing my time well was like one thing for sure. But just like playing different sports in general and not being forced into one sport too early of an age, I felt like I like truly loved the sport of soccer, and was like every next chapter I was so excited to like go to the next level and go to the next level. I never took anything for granted.
Yeah. So you played club, and then you got recruited to play at Cal. So what was the transition, or like at what point did you, well, first of all, how did that recruiting process go? And like, how did you end up at Cal, and where were you at that point in like levels in terms of everyone else around you? Were you on the youth teams in high school, or did that happen once you got to college? Youth national teams.
Well, I just want to say, go Bears.
I know.
Go Bears.
We were going to talk about this, and no.
Go Bears.
Nerd Nation all the way.
Ooh. So we'll get into that for sure. But yeah, I was on the U17 national team. I was definitely not one of the best players. You know, if there was like 25 players, I was probably like number 24 behind, like maybe 25 was like the 5th goalkeeper at camp. But that helped me for sure, like get to that next level. And then I got to Cal, and I was just coming off of my ACL, which I like got back after like 5 months, because I didn't want a red shirt.
And so your ACL was leading into your freshman year?
It was,
or sophomore year?
Yeah, it was. I was actually with the U7. No, it was with ODP. Like in January, and then I was like back in like June or July, and then in August we started preseason, and I was good, other than having this like huge brace on my knee. It was like Cal blue color. Actually, it was like brighter blue. It was like UCLA blue. I kind of got the blue wrong when I ordered it, but it's okay. There's no going back. So I
you were committed.
huge, like robo leg. Yeah, but I decided to go to Cal. Junior year of college, I got recruited by like a lot of colleges. I didn't get recruited by like UCLA or UNC, which were like the two, I think, like top dogs. Stanford was like big, but they like got really big. I would say like probably your freshman year, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it was definitely like we had a transition period when I got there.
Yeah. So I went on a recruiting trip. I went to Santa Clara, Cal, and Stanford the same weekend. And Santa Clara was like,
be.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know. My dad, he was like, here's our agenda. We're doing this.
I can picture Mike doing that. Oh, he was probably so excited.
Oh, he was pumped. Yeah. So I went to Santa Clara. I was like, it's like really small. It's like my high school is like as big as this. Then I went to Stanford, and I was just like, I don't know, like I don't really feel like I fit in, and like I have good grades, but like I have to get it on my own. I don't know, we'll see. And I just didn't feel like it was for me really. And then I went to Cal, and I was like, wow, like everyone's so free spirited. There's like, I don't know, it was just really different. And
you just felt it.
It was really cool. Yeah. It was so different than what I was used to growing up in Southern California, that I was just like, oh yeah, this is it. And it was funny. Who was I with? Was I with Allie McCann on my recruiting trip? I think so. And like no, it wasn't Allie. Who was it? I can't remember, but literally we went to Stanford and Cal like together on the recruiting trip, kind of, because it was like, all the recruits were there at the same time. And she was like, oh my God, like I love Stanford. It's so cool. Like this is where I want to go. And I went to Cal, and I was like, oh my God, I love Cal. Like this is where I want to go. It's like so funny how you get that feeling like right away. Like you can't explain it, but
so do you think that initial feeling of being on campus, experiencing people, meeting people on the team, that's how you ended up at Cal?
Yeah, for sure. I like met the girls on the team. But it was also just like the vibe of the city too. It was so different, and it was just eclectic, and like just I loved how it was just different than what I was used to.
Well, good thing you ended up at Cal, because you met the love of your life, which is very important.
I did.
Yes. You might not have if you didn't end up there. Okay, but there's a big jump between like starting club soccer when you're 13, 14, and then ending up on the U17 youth team, and then, going on and playing at a big it was Pac-10 back then, school. At what point did you realize you had it? Like the it factor, and I could go far with this?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so yeah, I started with Cypress Lee when I was 14. I started getting like extra training from my coaches like immediately. Like my dad would take me to training and like early, or we'd stay late, or I'd go an extra day. Training was like 45 minutes away, and it was just like normal. I would do my homework on the way. And I feel like I really progressed like pretty quickly. Like once I kind of started training with this team, like a few days a week and games each weekend. But it was way higher level than AOS. I was just like started to get the hang of it a little bit more, and like get a better touch, and like just like be a little better, like in front of goal, have better awareness. And so I started doing personal training. I think ODP, I started playing with them like 6 months into my time with Cypress Lee, which is the Olympic development program. I don't even know if they still have it.
I think it's like DA or ECNL. There's a lot of different acronyms out there that I don't know.
So,
but ODP was like the ODP was the Olympic Development Program for people who are listening. That was the path to get to the full senior team, because you had state ODP team, then regional ODP team, and then from that you would get called up to youth national team camps.
So I started with state, which was Cal South, because California is huge, so they like split the state into two. And then like regional, and I just loved it. You know, I like really I played every weekend, trained, 3 days a week, extra training, maybe twice. And I feel like I just got like better and better, like so quick. So I feel like, when did I feel like I had the it factor? I don't know. I think like, honestly, when I was coming back from my ACL and I was like a freshman in college, and I was like starting, just coming back from my ACL, I felt like just really good. I felt like I already belonged. And even though I had missed out on the last like 5 months of games and my senior soccer season and everything, that's where I kind of felt like, okay, I like have the it factor to like get there. And that's when I like got called into U20s, and after that the full team, and we had our first camp together.
I know, it's so crazy to think back on. It's interesting talking to you, because I obviously knew that you started playing club soccer later, but hearing how you progressed so quickly from joining club soccer to then making ODP to then getting called into youth national team camp, and you saying yourself, like, I just progressed really quickly. And hearing you say that, it's like, this all makes sense, because for me, seeing you on the full national team, that's how I feel like I would describe you as a player. Like, you just pick up things really quickly, you develop really quickly, like you learn something, you're like, oh, I need to tweak this, I need to get better here, and you just are able to execute it so much faster and efficiently than most people I've seen. And I feel like that's kind of like I've never thought about this before, but I feel like it's kind of a secret sauce of yours. You're like, you just excel quickly through levels. And I've like been able to watch that personally. And I feel like another example of this, like I said, is you with the national team. And so you obviously play for Cal. I don't think you guys ever beat us. Sorry, just saying.
No, I don't think we did.
Just so everybody knows.
Kelley won, Alex 0.
You won a couple things later on in life. It's fine. And then, like you said, you get called into U20s. You go and you play on that team, and you win a youth world championship with U20s. And that was like probably your sophomore year of college?
Sophomore year of college. Wow,
yeah.
Kel, you're good.
Well, it's because it was supposed to be my junior year, and then I got snip, I got cut. So I was not
snip too, so it's okay.
Oh my gosh, I should ask you about that, but maybe later. That's another story for another time. But so you win world championship on the U20 team. You go into your junior year. Your first call up is during your junior year of college to the full team.
Mm-hmm.
Pia calls you in, and your first call up, was it camp during December, or was it in the spring of 2010?
It was December 2009.
Okay, so we were
that was your first too. And I remember like you went into camp and like you knew all these players, and I didn't know anyone, and I didn't know you, and I was like, oh my God, I feel so out of place. Like, it was such a weird feeling, because I mean, I guess I was on U20s and stuff like that, but I don't know, like I didn't know I was so intimidated by everyone.
Well, you were the youngest player there at that point, because it was basically you were the youngest, and then the next youngest was like me, Tobin, Cheney, those players. And
but you knew a bunch of those players, and from the 2006 like U20 team. And I like kind of got onto the U20 team in 2008 like kind of late, and I went in there, and I just remember walking into the Belmar in Manhattan Beach, and I was like, oh my God, what am I getting myself into? I saw Abby come with Huffy and their bulldog, and I was like, oh, should I say hi? Like, I don't know. And I think I was rooming with Heo. Yeah, she was like the best first roommate because she's awesome, which by the way, she's due any day. Actually, I think she's past her due date.
Yeah, it was June 7th. No, yes, June 10th maybe. Heo, great first roommate. You're very lucky that you got her. Shout out to Heo, or Heather O'Reilly for people who don't know her as Heo. Mm-hmm. So total nerves. You just felt like a fish out of water when you got there?
Oh yeah, for sure. And then in training, I was like 10 steps behind everyone. And
it's wild the jump from, because at that point none of us had played professional soccer. We had just played not all of us, but the kids that were coming from college. We were going from playing, I went from playing like in the national championship game against college players to playing against 30 plus year olds.
Yeah.
And just totally different.
Well, also like, I feel like I don't know, growing up, I didn't like follow the women's national team like super closely. Like you really had to like do your research, it's not like they were on TV playing all the time. So I feel like I didn't do my research. I was busy like doing my own thing on the field, So I come into camp and I'm like, I literally don't know anyone's name. I don't know like their face that well. I remember there was like a poster of like old players and Abby was like, oh, let's like do a game. Like, who's this player? And I was like, I don't know. She's like, that's Michelle Akers. I was like, oh shit. Like, okay, no. I remember that. She's like, who's that? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, that's Shannon McMillan. And I'm like, who's that? Like, honestly, I was like, I had no idea about anyone. And I mean, I followed like the 99ers, like when they played in 99, but I don't know. I was like, I guess I like head down, like this is me. And it opened my eyes a lot.
So do you think that you were just like a gung-ho soccer fan in terms of the game, not necessarily like the national team, that sort of thing? Because I feel like you said, you just became obsessed with getting better and like pushing yourself and that sort of thing, but you weren't necessarily thinking, oh, I want to play on the national team. Like, was that, or you just kind of were living your own world and you were called player?
Yeah, no, I wanted to play on the national team for sure. But I guess I was just like, I wasn't going the extra mile to like fall. Like, I remember following the team in 2008 during, was it 2008 during the Olympics? I remember like waking up because it was in China, right? It was in China, and I woke up like at 2 a.m., whatever, 4 a.m. to watch the games because it was just the time change. So I remember then, but that was kind of like when I really started watching, was really when I like thought like I could play on this team. Like before then I was kind of like, like I was just into college, like.
And like there wasn't, in terms of coverage, there just wasn't a lot of coverage. Like I remember going on, I think I went on like the USsoccer.com site to like look who was on the team, because it's not like there was Instagram, there wasn't social media. They really didn't, like the coverage of women's sports was so lacking, and it still is, which is why we're doing this podcast. But I feel like there's so much more now, but looking back then, like it makes sense why you didn't even know some of these huge names that are like legends in the sport, because it just didn't exist.
No, I don't even know when like Wikipedia started, but exactly. We had to go on USsoccer.com to like look at like someone's bio and like how many caps they had and like look at their like picture and stuff like that. Other than that, you could watch in the Olympics, which is when I watched. I would wake up at 2 a.m. and watch the games in 2008. But other than that, like, and also me and my mom, like my mom bought season tickets to the LA Soul when they were around. I think that was in like, was that like that 2000?
Was what? I think it was 2009 was their first season.
Was it? Oh yeah. I do remember going with my mom in 2009. But other than that, it's like those games weren't on TV. And so, it was interesting, but I don't know. I don't know if you felt differently, like growing up or.
Oh no. I wasn't as crazy about soccer. I like found that passion later in life. But in terms of any type of coverage of the team, it was only during World Cup and Olympic years And if you wanted to know anything about the team, I think they had like a blog on ussoccer.com, and it would like talk about what happened during camp or like who they played and stuff.
Oh yeah. It was like the parents of the players probably like, oh, how did Sarah do? Oh, Alex, you did so great.
Yeah. So crazy. But okay. So you get called up, you're fish out of water. You don't even know some of the players. You end up getting your first cap, and your first cap was in the snow in Utah.
Was your first cap also that
No,
game?
mine was
Yours was San Diego.
Did we play?
Remember.
Were we playing? Did we play that? Did we play both those games the same camp?
Yes. So yeah, I remember that game because we were warming. I think we were both warming up. Did you go mid like second half?
I think I went in like right as the second half started or something like that.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Pia was like, go warm up, you know, and like no one tells you to stop warming up. So like I warmed up for 45 minutes.
The whole game in San Diego?
The whole second half, the entire second half. And like I had a bunch of my family there, and like I saw you go in and I was like, I'm going to go in too. Like this will be my game too. No, I get the next game, which is in Salt Lake City in the snow. Like I had never played in, had you ever played in the snow before?
I think that I had played in like flurries, but nothing like, I mean, there was full on, it was, the field was covered in snow. You couldn't see grass.
No, that the game should have never been played. They basically shoveled the snow off of inside the 18-yard box. But other than that, it was like a foot of snow, right? So like, and I just remember
a foot of snow, but it was
like at 6
it was significant inches. Yes, corress. And we played with a yellow ball.
It was more than I had ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Combined, my entire life.
This is all
being from Southern California. Yeah. So I just remember going in at halftime. I had no idea what I was doing. It was like the worst first cap ever. But all I know is Abby said, when we score, we're going to do snow angels. So she scored and I did a snow angel. And after the game, my feet were numb, my hands were numb. And Cheryl Bailey, our team coordinator, came up to me and was like, you're so funny playing, Alex. Me and P were laughing at how you were playing. You were playing like a normal game, but like there was snow. You can't dribble in snow. Like you're so funny. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God, I humiliated myself. I'm never going to be back, like called back in. Like, and then it was fine because back then, like your first cap was like, throw it, like it's garbage anyways. Everyone was so nervous. But it was very different from San Diego.
True. And for anyone who's listening that doesn't know what a cap is in international soccer, and I guess club soccer too, an appearance is, we call it a cap, and you accumulate a number of caps over your career, and you get a cap, you get an appearance if you even step on the field during a game. So you can get
funny
one.
Story about caps. My 100th cap was in San Diego, actually. All my family went, and afterwards we had like a 100th cap party for me at
I remember
my good friends. Yeah. Did you see the decorations? There was 100 hats around the house.
I probably noticed that. Yeah. That was cute.
So
it was a great
cool.
party.
Yeah, it was really fun. But when I started playing soccer, like with the national team, I didn't know what a cap was either.
Yeah, me either. The things you learn as you go on. So you get called in 2010, and I remember sitting down with Pia and her being like, you know, I'm gonna put you on contract, and because you're in my plans for potentially making the 2011 World Cup. And I remember thinking that, like, oh my God, I have an opportunity to make the World Cup team. Like, this is crazy. So what was you obviously got called in, started playing. Your progression through even just that year was crazy, because I feel like your biggest, like, I was like, oh, Alex just cemented herself on this team, was when we played Italy. I wasn't there because I didn't make qualifying. And
oh my God, really?
Yeah,
oh,
I didn't read the roster. I was a loser back then.
I roomed with Tina Elliotson, or Tina DiMartino. Sorry, not
in
Tina
qualifying.
Elliotson. Yes, in Italy. She, remember, like, Pia, I think she like dropped a few people. You were one of them. I didn't realize.
No. I didn't even go to Mexico. So for people who don't know, so the way it works is before a major tournament, World Cup or Olympics, you have to go through a qualifying tournament. And ours was in the fall of 2010 for the 2011 World Cup. And it was held in Mexico. And the way it works for the World Cup is the top 2 teams. So we play a tournament, and then the 2 teams that make the final automatic bid into the World Cup. And then the 2 teams that are in the semis, or not the semis, the third place game, if you win, you make it, right? We get 3 bids for our region in the world.
Well, now, but back then in 2010, it was like that third team. So we got third place. We had to do a playoff against the European team that also had like that playoff position, which was Italy.
Yeah. So the different regions around the world, each one has a different number of slots that they can have teams go to the World Cup. And so I wasn't there, but national team goes to Mexico, loses in the semis. So you guys are in the third place game, and then you win.
Which was the craziest game. I mean, it was played in a baseball field, and like we were literally having trash like thrown at us. And
that's when Abby split her head open, right?
Oh, split her head open. And then on the side of the field, she was like, just staple me up. And I was like, oh my God, like I would never do that. And she just like literally went back on the field 2 minutes later. Unfortunately, we lost. It was like the first time we had lost to Mexico in, I don't know, years or ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had to go to Italy, do a home and away in Italy first, like a little outside of Venice. I don't know where it was, but it was like, I think an hour outside of Venice. And then our home game was in Chicago, which aside from the snow game was the coldest game I had ever not played in, ever sat on the bench in.
But like you played
the wind burn. Holy crap.
But you played in the game in Italy. And we're tied 0-0, right? Team's tied 0-0. And you come on and you score with how many, like a couple minutes left?
I think it was like, there was 5 minutes of extra time and I scored like 93-50 or something like that. That was another game I warmed up for like 40 minutes. And finally like Dawn and Pia were like, Alex, I was like, really?
The marathon warm up.
I'm like tired by the time I go in.
I know. It's so true.
Warmed up.
But you score this goal, which like people don't, I mean, in my mind, like I said, I was like, oh, Alex just cemented herself. Like that was huge. She took this opportunity she just scored in one of the most biggest pressure moments I think that we not have ever experienced as a team. But this was like to go to the World Cup or not to go to the World Cup. And that was so important. And the fact that you came on and scored in Italy against Italy, got the win for the team. We go back, we won that game 1-0 in Chicago. Yeah. And then we qualify. So we're going to the World Cup. What were you leading into 2011 World Cup? Were you just like, oh, I just want to make the team? Or were you, I want a starting spot? Like what was your mindset going into that? Because you're young, you're like the youngest player on the team at that point.
I don't know how you felt, but yeah, I was like deer in headlights. Like, I mean, I was like, of course I was fighting for a spot, and like, if I was a starter, that would have been amazing, but like completely unrealistic. You know, it was like Pia had her players and that was it. You know, you didn't break into the starting lineup without like inching towards it for like years. I feel like, I remember Lauren Cheney and Megan Rapinoe, they were like, they were kind of going in and out of a starting spot. And I remember, Pino was like our winger, because we were playing 4-4-2. She was like, I think our left outside midfielder. And the night before the opening game, they're like, oh, and like on TV, the commentators are like, oh, and we just got word that like this is a starting lineup tomorrow. And they like announced the starting lineup, which was so weird to think back to, like, why did they have that? And then Lauren Cheney was like outside midfielder. And we're like, wait, Lauren Cheney's like a forward/center midfielder. Why is she playing outside mid? And like, we're all sitting watching the TV with Lauren and Pino. Like, we're like, oh my God, this is so weird.
Yeah, that was wild. One of the more wild, like.
That was crazy. Because like the lineup never changed. And then it was like, oh, surprise. And you don't get to hear from it from the coach, but from the commentators on TV.
Yeah, that was crazy. Pia was notorious for she had her starting lineup and you weren't breaking in. You might get a sub, but
Yeah, I didn't start. I don't know about you, but I didn't start. I want to hear about your story too, but I didn't start a game until the 2012 Olympic qualifying tournament. And from that moment on when I started, I was a starter. Like
Yeah.
I didn't like, oh, here's a starting, like you get to start for this game, but then we'll take it away from you. And then you get to like, it was like when you break into the starting lineup, like you got that spot.
Yeah, for sure. So, but you had a huge 2011 World Cup as a sub. You came off the bench and you were the first player ever to score a goal and assist in the World Cup final. Like,
did you look that up? I didn't even know that. I don't know.
Yeah, I did. Well, my people did.
Nice.
But you're 21 years old and you basically burst onto the scene for this team on the biggest stage possible, in the biggest game of your life. And like, how did you handle that? Were you through the 2011 World Cup, were you like, oh, I want to, like, I'm just going to be ready. I'm going to be, I'm going to make an impact when I go in? Or were you terrified? Like, what were you thinking?
I think I started terrified, but then by the second game, I was like, okay, like this is my role and like, I'm going to execute it like so well. I'm going to get my 30 minutes and like the defenders are going to be worn down. Like I'm going to score goals. And then the third game comes, it's on my birthday. I remember we were playing Sweden and I didn't get subbed in and it was my birthday and I just sat on the bench and I remember I like cried after the game. Cause it was like my birthday and I was like, I don't know.
Emotional.
So silly, but I feel like I kind of got like complacent, like this is my spot, like I'm going to be coming in so that kind of like put me in my place, like, okay, you have to work for it. Every minute you get on the field, you have to work for it. So after that game, which I think we lost, it's just so weird. Thinking back to that, that's why we played Brazil in the quarterfinals, because we didn't go out of our group first. Oh, Jesus.
But then if we wouldn't have played Brazil in the quarterfinals, we wouldn't have had the epic Abby header goal. And that, I feel like, catapulted us into people actually talking about the World Cup.
Oh my God, that changed things. Okay, so I just want to stop talking about myself for a second because literally that game changed things. I'm telling you, like, remember leading into the 2011 World Cup, I think on our send-off game, we played
5,000 people.
Red Bull Arena, we 5,000, and I feel like they put that, it was maybe like 3. It was really not. And leading into that too, like 2010, like we, maybe 5,000, maybe 8 if we were like lucky, like in, I don't know, in Hartford. But otherwise, yeah, it was like grim. And then that game like changed everything. Abby's header changed everything. And then we came back from the World Cup after losing to Japan, completely heartbroken. Like, it was devastating because we were like the better team. We were like, we're going to win this thing after beating Brazil. We don't win this thing. And then like the country was like, oh my God, congratulations. Like you guys did so well. Like I remember I went to like the Entourage premiere and we were in New York doing like being pulled in all these directions. And I was like, we just lost. Like everyone knows we just lost. It was the weirdest feeling. I mean, I'm sure you felt that way too.
Yeah, I remember pulling into Times Square where we stayed. We flew back into New York and had to do media the next day. And pulling in our bus, there just being mobs of people around our bus pulling into our hotel. And we were like, we lost. We didn't win. Why are people so excited?
Like, I was like crying still. People were celebrating. And I was like, why are you celebrating? Like, this is weird. Like, I don't know. It was the oddest thing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But also it changed soccer, I think, like that moment.
I absolutely agree with you. So I don't regret us, because I went on the field during the Sweden game where we lost, and I was like, looking back, if we would have won that game, we wouldn't have had the Abby header. Because I think it just changed that catapulted us into the media landscape. People started talking about it. Everyone got ramped up and was so excited. But so you have an incredible tournament. I mean, obviously we don't win, but you personally do so well for yourself in the position that you were given, in the role that you were given. Like you said, you become a starter in 2012. You crushed the 2012 Olympics. Still remember your header in the semifinals.
We crushed the 2012
okay.
Olympics.
We did. We crushed the 2012 Olympics. We win a gold medal. Like that was just, it was awesome.
We win a gold medal and party.
Yes.
A lot after.
That we did.
Put our Stanford Cal faux problems behind us and we become best friends.
We were roommates throughout that tournament and through the end and in the village. And we definitely have some good memories from that.
Yeah. Which will forever stay between us. So nobody even try to break that. Okay. No one try to penetrate that bond. All right.
Don't worry.
It's our secret.
Yeah. We were idiots. Let's just put it that way. But we were fun. Okay.
I just want to talk about us living together after that.
In LA?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that after. But first, I want to talk about, because this kind of coincides, the Wambach Morgan connection of just like, I feel like that the two of you guys played so well together, and she was such like a mentor to you and helped your game, but then I feel like you elevated hers, and it was really cool to watch. Like, how big of an impact do you think Abby had on you as a player, but then also as a person?
Oh, huge. I mean, Abby was like an amazing leader. She just like was the glue to the team. I think that the team was kind of a little like lost once she retired, because it was like, we don't have this like obnoxiously loud person kind of like aggressively instilling confidence into this team. So, and she did that. Here.
Puppies.
And she did that like every day. She instilled confidence in me. She constantly wanted to help elevate my game, elevate her game, like talk about how we can score more goals and give each other more assists and this and that. So it was she's an incredible teammate and just person in general, just teammate, leader, captain, everything.
Yeah, I feel like the two of you guys, because you guys were both up for player of the year in the whole world, and you guys both went to, it was in Switzerland then, right?
Yeah.
And she won that year, but it was just so cool to see the two of you, because I was like, these two are like the most iconic forwards in all of football right now. And I thought it was like a perfect cap to the year, because 2012 was just an incredible year for our team, but you guys personally and you individually, and obviously us, because we cemented our friendship in Manhattan Beach when we lived together for the off season.
We did.
All right. So we win in 2012, we go to 2015, we win a World Cup there. That was wild. Just even all of the things that happened through the years of like, you go from a starter and then you have to maintain that. How do you feel like you've been able to maintain this fire and this level for so long and to like consistently be the best?
I think like what you said before about like my secret sauce, like just being able to progress and adapt. I think like I've just been able to adapt. Like that's something that whenever a coach comes in, like I'm always ready for any changes necessary, or like a way to adapt my game or what's like asked of me. I feel like I'm pretty coachable, and I just like, I actually like, I want to continue to improve. I feel like if I'm like dedicating my life right now to this sport and living out my dream, like I might as well make the most of it. And I feel like in no way have I ever like coasted. So I think just like adaptability has helped.
I totally agree. You do.
Thanks,
that. I would say that is very true. All right. So we're fast forwarding to 2019 World Cup. We win in 2015. It was awesome, but I think we were kind of like not surprised by winning in 2015, but we hadn't won in so long. But it was great. Yeah. Like we win, but then we're like, oh my, but then we have 2016, we lose. And I think that 2016 in Rio in the Olympics, losing because we had never lost out that early in a major tournament. But then we have 2019 and we're like, all right, we got to get this together. We got to win. And I think Germany is the only other team that's won back-to-back World Cups. But it just like felt different going into this past, June for the World Cup. Did you feel that? Like, did you feel like it was different than any of the times before?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I felt like, having Jill coach us like over, you know, those 4 years, and this being our second go around, us having, how many was it? At least 10 players that were on the 2015 World Cup team. Just the amount of experience we had was pretty crazy. And I felt like leading into the World Cup too, we just almost felt like unstoppable. Our confidence was sky high, not in a bad way. I felt like we were just like absolutely ready. And 2016 was kind of just that, like, kind of that kick in the ass that we had in the back of our minds, like, for 3 years. And I felt like we were like prepared on all levels, especially set pieces.
But listen, but I will never discount the importance of set pieces forever, because they're so important. And I feel like, there were so many things that as a team that we did that I feel like people don't know or understand the amount of attention to detail that we put in to certain aspects of our game.
I feel confident in saying that, like, we worked the most on set pieces. Like, I feel like we worked the most out of any team in the World Cup on tactics. And as annoying as it was, like, in the moment to be like, we're going over this again, like, we already know this, like, how many times are we going to do this? Like, oh, why is she making, like, you know, just complaining nonstop, I feel like, in my head during the time leading up to the World Cup. During the World Cup, we were like, hell yeah, this is like why we did that.
Totally. I was reading a book called Power of Habit, and I remember being like, oh, this is why they're doing it. They want us to be able to literally do this in our sleep if we had to. Like, we could be moving to our positions and know exactly where everyone needs to be with their eyes closed and not conscious. But so, and then on top,
we got there.
Yeah, exactly. On top of that, there was so much happening off the field. You know, we have the Thailand celebration that people just ripped us for. You have Trump tweeting at Pinot. You have your tea celebration. There were so many. There was like other things that were going on. What was that like for you? Like, were you focused on that? Were you or were you able to shut it out?
I don't know. You were there with me. What do you think?
Well, I was very different, and I think not different, but I think that as a team, we do a really good job of like containing the bubble, you know, and when we get into these tournaments, we're like, whatever they talk about out there doesn't matter. We're here to accomplish the one goal, which is to win. And I remember multiple things happening and not knowing that they had happened. And one of my friends texting me and being like, what do you think of this? Or, I can't believe this happened. I was like, I genuinely don't know what you're talking about, because I deleted Twitter 5 days ago. Like, I very much so was needed to be very blinders on focused.
Yeah. I felt like we were favorites, and because of that, there was always a story to be told. Like, they wanted to spin something, you know, on us. They wanted to root for the underdog. So in that way, I was just like, this is normal. You know, this is what media does. And as much as it sucks for us to have like a, you know, target on our backs, this is good for the sport, and we're going to win anyways. And then we'll be able to like not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. And so I felt in the moment like it's fine, because we're going to back it up. Like, we're going to, like, I felt so confident in us. So it never like deterred, you know, my like vision for what like I wanted to do, like what I thought that this team could accomplish.
Yeah, I agree. Totally. But quick on your tea celebration. We kind of talked about it afterwards, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't get it, because you were like, you know, and that's the tea. And I was like, what? But did you, going into the game, you're like, okay, this is a celebration I'm going to do? Or in that moment, you're like, I'm doing this?
So we were getting on the bus, and I had coffee, and like the camera, like, you know, like the camera's like in your face as we were walking on the bus. And I remember I was with Allie, and I just like did that, like walking on the bus. And I was like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that if I score. And then I scored, and I actually remembered to do a celebration, because I never remember to do one. So it was like the first time ever I did one. Of course, everyone wants to then talk about it and like talk shit on me too because of it.
And the funniest
like, the
part
whole
is that
country wants to like kill me, of England wants to kill me for it. And I was like, this is the first celebration I've done in my entire life. Like, let me live.
But it was also so funny because it was England and it's like tea and it just, it was perfect storm, but I thought it was great. And I was stoked on your goal. So,
oh yeah. I mean, that was definitely thought behind it. Like when I did that on the camera before the game, I was like, we're playing England. And I just did that. Okay. Oh yeah, that could be fun.
It was very cheeky. I loved it.
I kind of looked like I was smoking a blunt too, but it's fine. Like most people thought I was sipping tea, so it's perfect that that story caught on. Imagine if it was like
an Alex Morgan
trying to smoke a blunt after she scores,
promoting THC use by athletes. So we win.
Do people call it blunts anymore? I don't know. Like. I don't even know. I'm so out of touch with that.
Yeah,
anyways.
I'm not gonna comment on that. I don't think so because I don't know. I'm not educated in that space.
Me neither. I have a child now. Okay, I have different things to think about.
Yeah. So we win and we party hard afterwards. Favorite post World Cup memory or celebration?
It was
pool party.
It was like a blur. Ooh, pool party was so much fun. Yeah, on the rooftop of the hotel in New York City. Yeah, because that night it was kind of crazy that they were like, we're gonna really manage like who comes into the party. Remember like after we won and we were like, okay, like we were like, you have to put exactly who you want like on the list, only like 4 people allowed per player. And then we get to the party and there's like so many people that nobody knows. And you're like, how did everyone and their best friend and their best friend's cousin and their cousin's daughter get into this party? Like, what the heck?
Don't tell people this. They're going to try to sneak in next time.
Well, they
probably will get in
last time. Yeah, it's fine. Just go to our parties. They're the best. No.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a little wild and we were all hungover the next day, but we started like having fun on the plane.
We did. We walked through security and they had asked us if we flew charter home. So they asked us if we would want to go through the main area concourse where people were and there we could get food and stuff, or go to like a secluded one and we wouldn't be able to get food. And we're like, oh, we're all hungry. Let's go to the main one. And we go through security. We're walking next to each other and we see 2 girls walk. It's 11 a.m. We see 2 girls walk by with beers in their hand and you look at me, you go, you want to go get a beer? And I was like, why not?
Yeah, of
so
course.
Yeah, we kept the party going. It was good. It was I feel like it was quite different from 2015 and I don't know why, but the celebrations were very lively.
And then by the time we went to SB's, I was dead.
You were done.
No, I couldn't go to the after party. I was like, sorry, tapped out.
I pushed through for one more night, but then I didn't have a voice the next day. So, but it was good times. All right. So 2 more things and then we're going to let you go and feed Charlie. Equal pay.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. I need to see like when's the last time I fed
Yeah, I was about to say you should check up on that.
We have 20 minutes max, but like let's wrap it up.
Okay, we'll wrap it
and we'll talk on the phone after.
Okay. Well, I don't want to get on the phone and talk about equal pay with you because I feel like I'm always on the phone with you talking about equal pay.
Yeah.
What do you think? What would you want people to know that they probably don't know about this case in terms of maybe our involvement, how like attention to detail we are on all the things that go on? We have this legal committee. Is there anything that you would want the public to understand of the behind the scenes? Because they see the press releases, they see the different motions or summary judgments. You see the media talk about it, but I feel like a lot of people don't understand the amount of time and work and effort that we as players have put in to this and how important it is for us.
Yeah, I feel like some people do see that, but for sure that would be one thing that I would want people to know is that like we are behind like every press release that our publicist puts out, like that is the players speaking. Every time that there's anything that our lawyers put out, like that is because of that's from coming straight from us. So I think that just like the amount of time that we've put into this lawsuit and just in general the fight for equal pay has been just immense, like hours among hours of time that I think is being put to really great use. And I've seen some amazing things come of it from other sports, within the sport, also with other countries, and just women in general feeling inspired by our story and by us standing up. But I just think that like it's kind of crazy to think like how different like the two sides are. And like, if someone's listening to one side, they're going to like hear something completely different than what we're trying to speak as our truth. And so I think like as much as me and you and our legal team and and our national team can continue to put out like the truth behind things and like stick to like being honest and trying the facts and making sure that like fans know where we're coming from at all times. I think that that's like all that we can do. And I think just as much as fans can continue to support us, it's been like an extremely long fight. And it's longer than we ever anticipated, expected, or wanted. But I mean, they need to know that we'll continue to fight.
Yeah, that's the one thing that keeps me inspired, is that I'm like, okay, we're in this for the long haul, and it's so much bigger than just us and what we're specifically fighting for in this specific lawsuit. Just it has the ability to impact the entire world, which gives me hope and keeps me going. And I think it probably does for you too. So last thing, you're my friend, but you're also a full-on celebrity. What has that been like for you? Like, you're probably the most recognized female athlete, or at least one of them in the world. Not even female athlete, just athlete. Did you ever think this was going to happen? Like, did you ever picture this? Is this something like, how has it been? Because I've seen you from, A to Z, and I've known you, but I feel like the world has gotten to know you, and I don't know, I've seen you handle it very gracefully and like navigate that, because I don't think a lot of people are able to do that. So what has been the hardest or like biggest challenge of that?
I think for me, like the biggest challenge is just like staying true to myself and like not altering like what I think or what I say or what I do to like please people. I think that's been like the hardest thing, is just like putting out like what I truly believe in, what I like, who I am. And so because I just naturally people are like want to please others, and for us, like we have so millions of young fans looking up to us. So I think that it's just like continuing to be like true to who I am, I guess. And not like give them something that's like fake or not give them just what they want, because that's like the easy route.
I love that. If I know anyone who's true to themselves, it's you. And that's why I appreciate you.
I love you.
I love you too, Janice. I'm so proud of you. You're a mama now.
I can't wait for you to meet Charlie.
I know, same.
Why am I talking in this voice?
I don't know. So last two questions, we do these things, the repeat questions we've asked everybody. So you've got two of them. The first one, hard work versus luck. How much of success is predicated on luck? Or how much of it is predicated on hard work?
Is this like a percentage, or?
You can give it to me in a percentage. You give it to me in an analogy. I don't know, whatever you're feeling.
Ooh, well, I mean, I'll just go percentage because I'm more of a black and white person, but I would say it's like 94% hard work and 6% luck.
Cool. All right. Nice.
Yeah.
I can't wait to like put all the percentages next to each other, because that's what most people have said is percentages.
Really?
And it's been really interesting hearing thoughts behind that. Okay. And then the other one, you've accomplished so much already. Needless to say that. Where do you want to go next, and how do you keep pushing?
I want to go to Tokyo for the Olympics next year. Yeah, I would love to continue playing the sport and doing what I love, and raising my daughter, you know, around just a bunch of badass women. And what was the second part of that?
How do you keep pushing? Like, how do you keep
I feel
staying
like,
motivated? Like, how do you,
I get this question a lot, and I feel like it's like, I don't have like a good answer. I feel like it's just a soccer career is like a finite length of time, and you have to like maximize it when you're in your peak of your career. And I feel like we're not going to be here forever. And my body is like not the average 30-year-old. It feels a lot older. And so I know with like the limited years that I've left, I want to make the most of it.
Beautiful. Well, this has been wonderful. Stop it. No, you are. This has been awesome. I really appreciate you coming on here, joining me, and just being open and talking about all the things in your life: motherhood, soccer, life off the field. I'm really proud of you as your friend and as your teammate, and I can't wait to see everything that you're still going to accomplish. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks, Worm.